Commander Jake Morrison stood in the center of the bridge on the UHSS Valkyrie. The ship moved through the dark space between stars. Jake had been in command for 3 years now. This was his first deep space mission. Earth Command had sent them out to map new systems and look for signs of other life. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Jake watched the stars on the main screen. He never got tired of seeing them. Space was so big and empty. Sometimes he wondered if humans were alone out here. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at her station. She was the best communications officer in the fleet. Her job was to listen for any signals from space. Most of the time she only heard static and cosmic noise. But today was different. Amy's headset crackled with a new sound. She sat up straight and turned the volume up. The signal was weak, but it was there. Something was talking in the darkness. "Commander Morrison," Amy called out. "I'm picking up something strange." Jake walked over to her station. "What do you have?" "It's a signal, sir. Very old frequency. Like older than human space travel old. The computer is trying to decode it now." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This could be it. First contact with alien life. He had dreamed about this moment since he was a kid. "Can you clean it up?" he asked. Amy's fingers moved across her keyboard. "Working on it now, sir." "The signal is coming from about 20 light years away. It's definitely artificial. Someone made this." Captain Lisa Hamilton walked up behind them. She was Jake's second in command and his best friend. They had gone through the Space Academy together. Lisa was always calm when things got exciting. "What's the situation?" Lisa asked. "We might have found them," Jake said. "Aliens." The computer beeped. Amy put the cleaned-up signal on the main speakers. At first it was just noise. Then words started to come through. The ship's computer was translating as it played. "This is High Commander Zethkar of the Kaleri people. We send this message to anyone who can hear us. Our worlds are dying. A great evil has come to our space. They call themselves the Ravagers. They eat everything. They destroy everything. We have lost 12 worlds already. Soon they will take our last home." The bridge went quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing to listen. "We are a peaceful people. We have never made war. We do not know how to fight these monsters. They are too many. They are too strong. We beg anyone who hears this message to help us. We are running out of time. This may be our last transmission. Please, if there is anyone out there, help us." The message ended. The bridge stayed quiet for a long moment. Jake looked at his crew. They were all young. Most of them had never been in a real fight. The Valkyrie was a science ship. It had some weapons, but not many. They were not ready for war. "How old is this message?" Jake asked. Amy checked her computer. "About 6 days old, sir. It traveled a long way to reach us." "That means they might still be alive," Lisa said. Jake nodded. He walked to the center of the bridge. His crew was looking at him. They wanted to know what to do. Jake had to make a choice that could change everything. "Sir," said Lieutenant Tom Harris from the navigation station, "Earth Command didn't send U.S. out here to fight wars. Our orders are to explore and report back." "I know what our orders are," Jake said. "But we just heard people crying for help. Real people who are about to die." "We don't know anything about these Ravagers," Lisa said. "They could be too strong for us." Jake looked at the star map. The Kaleri system was marked in red. It was far from Earth. If they went there, they would be on their own. No backup. No support. Just one small ship against an unknown enemy. "Amy, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what we found. Tell them we're going to investigate." "Sir, that message will take months to reach Earth," Amy said. "And months more for them to send orders back." "I know," Jake said. "By then it will be too late." The crew exchanged looks. They all knew what Jake was thinking. He wanted to help these aliens, but it could be suicide. "Commander," said Chief Engineer Bill Murphy, "the Valkyrie isn't a warship. We have one plasma cannon and some missiles. If these Ravagers are as bad as the message says, we won't last long." Jake walked to the big screen. The stars looked the same as always. But now he knew there were people out there who needed help. He thought about his sister back on Earth. What if she was in trouble and called for help? What if no one came? "We didn't come out here just to look at stars," Jake said. "We came out here to represent humanity, to show the galaxy who we are. These Kaleri people are about to die. They asked for help. We're the only ones who heard them." "But sir," Tom said, "we could die too." Jake turned to face his crew. "Yes, we could, but we could also save an entire species. We could make the first real contact between humans and aliens. We could show them that when Earth gets a call for help, Earth answers." The bridge was quiet again. Jake could see his crew thinking. They were scared. He was scared too. But sometimes being scared didn't matter. "I won't order anyone to come with me," Jake said. "This is bigger than following orders. This is about doing what's right. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle back to the nearest space station." Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Lisa stepped forward. "I'm with you, Jake. These Ravagers sound like bullies. I never did like bullies." Amy stood up next. "If we're going to make first contact, we'll need someone who can talk to them." "I'm in." One by one, the rest of the crew stood up. Tom, Bill, and all the others. They were afraid, but they were ready to fight. "All right then," Jake said. "Tom, set course for the Kaleri system. Best speed." "Yes, sir," Tom said. "Course laid in." "Amy, try to send a message to these Kaleri people. Tell them help is coming. Tell them Earth has heard their call." "What should I tell them about us?" Amy asked. Jake thought for a moment. "Tell them we're human. Tell them we're from a planet called Earth. Tell them we heard their message, and we're coming to help. Tell them not to give up." The ship turned toward the Kaleri system. The stars on the screen shifted. They were heading into the unknown. None of them knew what they would find when they got there. "Commander," Lisa said quietly, "what if we're not strong enough? What if we can't help them?" Jake looked at his friend. "Then at least they'll know someone tried. At least they'll know someone cared enough to come." The Valkyrie moved through space faster than it had ever gone before. Behind them, Earth got smaller and smaller. Ahead of them, an alien species waited. For a miracle. Jake didn't know if humans could be that miracle, but he knew they had to try. That's what humans did. When someone called for help, they answered. Even if it was dangerous. Even if it was impossible. The message from the Kaleri people played again in Jake's mind. They had sent their call out into the empty galaxy, hoping someone would hear. They probably never imagined that the first to answer would be a species they had never met. A species from a small blue planet that had just learned to travel between stars. But that's exactly what happened. The galaxy had sent out a cry for help, and humanity had heard it first. Admiral Kate Sullivan was drinking her morning coffee when the emergency alert came through. The red lights in her office at Luna Station started flashing. She had been in charge of Earth's deep space fleet for 5 years. She had never seen an alert like this one. The message was marked with the highest priority code, First Contact Protocol. Kate had trained for this moment, but never thought it would really happen. She opened the file and read Commander Morrison's report. An alien species called the Kaleri was under attack. They had asked for help. Morrison and his crew were already on their way to help them. Kate put down her coffee cup. Her hands were shaking a little. She called her aide, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker. "Get me the Joint Chiefs. Emergency meeting. In 30 minutes, and wake up President Johnson. She needs to know about this." Kate walked to the big window in her office. She could see Earth below. It looked so peaceful from up here. Blue and green and white. Soon everyone down there would know that humans were not alone in the universe. The emergency meeting was held in the secure conference room. General Matt Brooks from the Marines was there. Admiral John Wright from the Navy Air Force General. Carol Davis. They all looked tired. Kate had woken them up early. "We have a situation," Kate said. She played Morrison's message for them. The alien distress call filled the room. Nobody spoke until it was over. "My God," General Brooks said. "It's really happening. What do we know about these Ravagers?" Admiral Wright asked. Kate pulled up the files on her computer. Not much. From what the Kaleri said, they're some kind of hostile alien species. They attack and destroy other worlds. They've already killed billions of aliens. And Morrison is going after them with one science ship, General Davis asked. He's already gone, Kate said. The Valkyrie left 2 days ago. They won't reach the Kaleri system for another week. General Brooks leaned forward. We need to send backup. Now. It's not that simple, Kate said. This triggers the Deathworlder protocol. Everyone in the room knew about the protocol. It was written 5 years ago when Earth's first deep space ships found evidence of other intelligent species. The protocol was for situations just like this one. The Galactic Survey Corps classified us as a Deathworlder species, Kate explained. That means we evolved on a planet that's more dangerous than most worlds that have life, Admiral Wright nodded. I remember the report. Earth has more natural disasters, more dangerous animals, more diseases than typical life-bearing planets. That's right, Kate said. Most alien species evolved on safe, stable worlds. They never had to deal with the kinds of threats we grew up with. That makes us different. General Davis looked confused. Different how? Kate pulled up another file. Dr. Ben Carter from the Xenobiology Department wrote a study about it. He says humans are probably more aggressive, more adaptable, and better at warfare than most alien species. So we're the scary aliens, General Brooks said. Maybe, Kate said. The point is, if we're going to make first contact, we need to be ready. This isn't just about helping the Kaleri. This is about showing the galaxy who humans are. President Johnson's face appeared on the conference room screen. She was calling from the White House. Admiral Sullivan, I've read the report. What are you recommending? Kate stood up. Madam President, I recommend we activate the Deathworlder. Protocol. Send a full task force to support Commander Morrison. How big a task force? The President asked. 6 heavy cruisers, 12 frigates, and the Ragnarok. Everyone in the room went quiet. The U's Ragnarok was Earth's newest battleship. It was also the biggest and most powerful ship humans had ever built. It had never been used in combat. That's a lot of firepower, Admiral Wright said. We don't know what we're up against, Kate said. The Ravagers destroyed 12 alien worlds. They must be very strong. President Johnson thought for a moment. Who would command this task force? Admiral Ryan Tucker, Kate said. He's the best combat commander we have. What about the crew? General Brooks asked. This could be dangerous. All volunteers? Kate said. Nobody gets ordered to go fight aliens. They have to choose, the President nodded. Do it, but Admiral Sullivan, I want to be very clear. This task force is going to help the Kaleri. We're not going to start a war with these Ravagers unless they force us to. Understood, Madam President. The meeting ended. Kate had work to do. She called Admiral Tucker first. He was at Mars Station training new pilots. Ryan, I need you to drop everything and come to Luna Station. We're putting together a task force. What's the mission? Tucker asked. First contact with alien species. Combat likely? There was a pause. I'll be there in 6 hours. Kate's next call was to Dr. Ben Carter. He was the only person on Earth who had studied what might happen when humans met other species. Dr. Carter, I need you to brief a combat task force about alien psychology. Are we really doing this? Carter asked. Are we really going to meet aliens? We're going to fight aliens, Kate said. I need to know what we're up against. 24 hours later, the task force was assembled. 6 heavy cruisers, the Defiant, the Intrepid, the Relentless, the Vengeance, the Courage, and the Hope, 12 frigates with names like Falcon, Eagle, and Hawk, and the big battleship RGNA, OK. Admiral Tucker stood in the briefing room looking at his captains. These were some of the best officers in the fleet. Captain Nina Brooks from the Defiant, Captain Kelly Martinez from the Relentless, Commander Sam Davis, who would lead the Marines. Ladies and gentlemen, Tucker said, we're about to make history. We're going to meet another species for the first time, and we're going to do it in the middle of a war. Dr. Carter stood up next. He was a thin man with glasses who looked nervous. "I've studied the alien message very carefully. The Kaleri seem to be a peaceful species. They said they've never made war before. That tells us something important." "What's that?" Captain Brooks asked. "Most alien species probably evolved on safer worlds than Earth," Carter said. "They didn't have to deal with the constant threats we grew up with. Natural disasters, dangerous animals, diseases, wars between human groups. All of that made us harder, tougher, more ready to fight." Commander Davis raised his hand. "So you're saying we're more violent than most aliens?" "Not more violent," Carter said. "More capable of violence when it's necessary. There's a difference. Most alien species probably avoid conflict. They try to solve problems peacefully. That's good most of the time. But when something like the Ravagers comes along, they don't know how to fight back." Tucker nodded. "What do we know about the Ravagers?" "Not much," Carter said. "From the message, they seem to be a species that attacks and consumes other species. They destroyed 12 Kaleri worlds. That suggests they're very good at warfare." "Better than us?" Captain Martinez asked. Carter thought for a moment. "They might be stronger or have better technology. But they've probably never fought a species like humans before. We might have advantages they don't expect." "Like what?" Tucker asked. "Unpredictability," Carter said. "Most alien species probably fight in organized, logical ways. Humans are different. We make emotional decisions. We take crazy risks. We do things that don't make sense to protect others. That kind of behavior might confuse enemies who expect rational tactics." The briefing continued for 2 hours. They talked about weapons, tactics, and what to expect when they reached the Kaleri system. But there were too many unknowns. They were going in blind. Tucker dismissed the meeting. "We leave in 6 hours, all volunteers only. Anyone who wants to stay behind can do so with no shame." Nobody left. The task force launched from Luna Station exactly on schedule. 18 ships carrying 30,000 people. They were heading toward a war zone 20 light-years away. Most of them had never been in real combat before. As the ships jumped into hyperspace, Kate Sullivan watched from the station. She had just sent Earth's first military force to fight aliens. She hoped she had made the right choice. Back on Earth, the news was starting to spread. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. And the first thing they were going to do was go to war to protect strangers. Admiral Tucker stood on the bridge of the Ragnarok as the stars streamed past. In his pocket was a letter from his daughter back on Earth. She was proud of him for going to help the aliens. That made him feel better about what they were about to do. The Deathworlder protocol was now active. Earth's children were going to meet the galaxy for the first time, and they were going to do it with guns blazing. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie as they dropped out of hyperspace. The Kaleri system appeared on the main screen. What they saw made everyone go quiet. The system was full of ships, thousands of them. But these were not normal ships. They looked like they were alive. The hulls were dark and bumpy like insect shells. They moved in strange patterns that made Jake's stomach feel sick. "Those must be the Ravagers," Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez said. Her voice was barely a whisper. In the center of the system was a beautiful blue and green planet. It looked a lot like Earth. Around the planet were smaller ships that sparkled like crystals. They were much fewer than the dark ships. The crystal ships were fighting hard, but they were losing. "The Kaleri," Captain Lisa Hamilton said. "They're still fighting." Jake watched the battle on the screen. The crystal ships moved like dancers. They were graceful and beautiful. But the dark ships were like hungry animals. They swarmed around the crystal ships and tore them apart. "Sir," said Lieutenant Tom Harris, "I'm reading massive energy signatures from those bioships. They're using some kind of living technology." Amy was working at her station. "I'm picking up communications from the planet. It's the same language as the distress signal." "Can you translate it?" Jake asked. "The computer is working on it now," Amy said. "It sounds like they're coordinating their defense." "But sir, there are so many enemy ships." I don't think they can hold out much longer. Jake made a decision. Tom, take us in. Amy, try to contact the planet. Let them know we're here to help. The Valkyrie moved toward the battle. It was just one small ship against thousands of enemies, but it was all they had. Sir, Chief Engineer Bill Murphy called from his station. Those bioships are reading our approach. Some of them are turning toward us. Jake could see them on the screen. About 20 of the dark ships were breaking away from the main battle. They were coming straight for the Valkyrie. Battle stations, Jake ordered. All hands prepare for combat. The ship's alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed everywhere. The crew ran to their positions. Most of them had never been in a real fight before, but they were ready. Weapons online, reported Lieutenant Sarah Martinez from the tactical station. We have 1 plasma cannon and 12 missiles. That's not much against 20 ships, Lisa said quietly. It's what we have, Jake said. Sarah, target the lead ship. Fire when ready. The Valkyrie's plasma cannon fired. A bright blue beam shot across space and hit the first Ravager ship. The alien vessel exploded in a shower of green fluid and twisted. Metal. Direct hit, Sarah called out. Target destroyed. The crew cheered, but their celebration was short. The other 19 ships kept coming. They were faster than the Valkyrie. Incoming fire, Tom announced. Multiple contacts. The screen filled with green energy blasts. The Ravager ships were shooting some kind of bioweapon. It looked like living lightning. Evasive maneuvers, Jake ordered. Tom's hands flew over his controls. The Valkyrie twisted and turned through space. Most of the enemy shots missed, but some hit the shields. Shields down to 70%, Bill reported. These bioweapons are doing more damage than normal energy weapons? The Valkyrie fired again. Another Ravager ship exploded. But now the others were getting close, too close. Sir, Amy said, I'm getting a transmission from the planet. It's in English. English? Jake asked. How do they know English? I sent them our language files when we arrived, Amy said. They must have very fast computers. The message is from High Commander Zeth Kar. Put it through, Jake ordered. A new voice came through the speakers. It was musical and strange, but the words were clear. Human ship Valkyrie, this is High Commander Zeth Kar. We received your message. We cannot believe someone came to help us. High Commander, Jake said. This is Commander Morrison. We heard your distress call. We came as fast as we could. You are very brave, Zeth Kar said. But you are only one. Ship, the Ravagers are too many. You should leave before they destroy you too. We're not leaving, Jake said. We came here to help, and that's what we're going to do. The Valkyrie shook as more enemy fire hit the shields. Shields down to 40%, Bill called out. Sir, Sarah said, we can't fight all of them. We need to do something different. Jake looked at the tactical display. The Ravager ships were surrounding them. In a few minutes they would be destroyed, but he had an idea. Tom, plot a course straight through their formation. Full speed, sir? Tom looked confused. They expect us to run away or fight at a distance. Jake said, let's do something they won't expect. Take us right through the middle of them. Lisa smiled. That's crazy enough to work. Do it, Jake ordered. The Valkyrie suddenly accelerated. It shot forward right into the middle of the Ravager formation. The enemy ships were so close that Jake could see details on their hulls. They looked like they were made of living bone and flesh. Fire everything, Jake ordered. All missiles, continuous plasma fire. The Valkyrie became a ball of fire and light. Plasma beams shot out in all directions. Missiles exploded all around them. 3 more Ravager ships were destroyed, but the best part was the confusion. The enemy ships had been shooting at where the Valkyrie used to be. Now they were all mixed up. Some of them were shooting at each other by accident. It's working, Sarah said. They don't know what to do. The Valkyrie burst out of the enemy formation and headed toward the planet. Behind them, the Ravager ships were trying to reorganize. Amy, contact the planet again, Jake ordered. Tell them we're coming to help with the ground defense. Sir, Tom said. There are more bioships coming up from the planet's surface. It looks like they're already landing troops. Jake could see them on the screen. Huge dark shapes were descending toward the beautiful planet. The crystal ships were trying to stop them, but there were too many. Hi, Commander Zethkar, Jake said into the communicator. We're coming to your location. Can you guide us to where you need help most? Commander Morrison, Zethkar replied. The Ravagers are landing near our capital city. We are evacuating our people, but we cannot hold them back much longer. They are eating everything they touch. Jake felt sick. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Sir, Lisa said, we don't have any ground troops, it's just us. Then we'll have to be enough, Jake said. The Valkyrie entered the planet's atmosphere. Jake got his first look at a Kalari world. It was beautiful. Crystal cities that caught the light like jewels. Forests of silver trees. Rivers that sparkled blue and gold, but parts of it were already being destroyed. Black patches spread across the land where the Ravagers had landed. The ground looked like it was being eaten away. There, Tom pointed at the screen. A capital city. It was the most beautiful thing Jake had ever seen. A city made of living crystal that grew up from the ground like a mountain. But around it were the dark shapes of Ravager landing craft. Take us down, Jake ordered. We're going to make our stand here. As the Valkyrie descended, Jake thought about his crew. They were brave people who had volunteered to help strangers. They might die today, but they would die fighting for something important. The ship landed near the Crystal City. Through the windows, Jake could see the Kalari people. They were tall and graceful, with skin that looked like polished stone. They moved like dancers even when they were running for their lives. All hands, Jake announced over the ship's intercom. Prepare for ground combat. We're going to help these people fight. We're going to show them what humans can do. The crew grabbed their weapons and headed for the exit. They were about to fight aliens on an alien world. They were about to make first contact in the worst possible way, but they were ready. They were human. And humans never backed down from a fight when innocent people needed help. Commander Jake Morrison jumped out of the Valkyrie with his rifle ready. The ground under his feet felt strange. It was soft and seemed to glow with a faint blue light. This was his first time on an alien world. Around him, his crew spread out in a defensive formation. They had trained for this, but never thought they would actually fight aliens. The air smelled different here. Sweet like flowers, but with something else underneath. Something that made Jake's skin crawl. Stay together, Jake ordered. Watch each other's backs. The Kalari capital city rose up in front of them like a mountain made of crystal. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Parts of it were dark, where the Ravagers had already started their attack. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was carrying a portable communicator. Commander, I'm getting signals from all over the city. The Kalari are still fighting, but they're losing ground fast. A group of Kalari warriors came running toward them. They were tall and graceful, with skin that looked like polished stone. Their weapons were elegant things that shot beams of light. But Jake could see they were afraid. The leader of the group stopped in front of Jake. Are you the humans? He asked in perfect English. Yes, Jake said. I'm Commander Morrison. We came to help. The Kalari warrior looked at Jake's rifle. Your weapons are very primitive. They use solid projectiles instead of energy. They work, Jake said simply. I am Captain Valtar, the warrior said. High Commander Zethkar sent me to guide you. The Ravagers are attacking from 3 directions. We cannot hold them back much longer. Suddenly the ground shook. A horrible sound filled the air. It was like screaming and growling at the same time. Around the corner of a crystal building came the first Ravager that Jake had ever seen. It was a nightmare. The creature stood 8 feet tall on 6 legs. Its body was covered in black chitinous armor. It had too many eyes and a mouth full of teeth that dripped green acid. In its claws were weapons that looked like they were made from living bone. Contact, Jake shouted. Enemy spotted. The Ravager saw them and let out that terrible scream again. Then it charged straight at them. Captain Veltar raised his energy weapon and fired. The beam of light hit the creature but barely slowed it down. The Ravager's armor seemed to absorb the energy. "The armor adapts to our weapons," Valtar said. "After a few shots, they become immune to our energy beams." Jake didn't hesitate. He raised his rifle and fired 3 quick shots. The bullets hit the Ravager in the chest and knocked it backward. Green blood sprayed from the wounds. The creature looked surprised. It had never been hurt by solid projectiles before. Its adaptation to energy weapons was useless against simple bullets. "How?" Valtar asked. "We don't use energy weapons as our main armament," Jake said. "We use kinetic force, bullets, explosives, things that hit hard and fast." More Ravagers came around the corner. Jake's crew opened fire. The sound of gunfire echoed through the Crystal City. The aliens had never heard anything like it. The Ravagers tried to adapt to the new weapons, but bullets weren't energy. They were just pieces of metal moving very fast. There was nothing to adapt to except getting hit. "This is impossible," one of the Ravagers seemed to say. Jake couldn't understand the words, but he could hear the confusion in its voice. "Lieutenant Martinez," Jake called to his weapons officer. "Use the grenades." Sarah Martinez pulled out a grenade and threw it into the group of Ravagers. The explosion was huge. Crystal fragments flew everywhere. When the smoke cleared, 4 Ravagers were dead. Captain Veltar stared at the human weapons. "Your tactics are so violent." "We're from a violent world," Jake said. "We had to learn to fight to survive." The battle continued through the city. Jake's crew of 25 people fought alongside hundreds of Kaleri warriors. But the humans were different. They didn't fight like the Kaleri expected. The Kaleri fought in organized formations. They used cover and fired in controlled bursts. They were skilled and disciplined. But they were also predictable. The humans fought like wild animals. They took crazy risks. They made emotional decisions. They did things that didn't make tactical sense, but somehow worked. Sergeant Alex Johnson was the first to discover the key to beating the Ravagers. He was cornered by 3 of the creatures in a narrow alley. Instead of trying to retreat, he did something insane. He dropped his rifle and pulled out a combat knife. Then he jumped on the nearest Ravager and started stabbing it in the neck. The creature tried to adapt to the knife attack but couldn't. It was too unexpected, too chaotic. "The hive mind can't process random behavior," Alex shouted as he fought. "They expect logical tactics. Do something crazy." The word spread through the human forces. Soon they were all fighting in ways that made no sense. They would charge when they should retreat. They would use melee weapons when they had guns. They would sacrifice themselves to save strangers. The Ravagers had never faced anything like this. Their hive mind was designed to adapt to logical, predictable opponents. But humans weren't logical. They were emotional. They were irrational. They were impossible to predict. Ben Carter would later write in his report that this was the moment humanity proved they were true Deathworlders. They didn't just fight to win, they fought to protect others. They fought with a fury that came from millions of years of evolution on a world that tried to kill them every day. The battle raged for hours. The humans and Kaleri fought side by side through the crystal streets. They saved civilians. They held choke points. They pushed the Ravagers back step by step. High Commander Zethkar joined the fight personally. He was an old warrior with scars on his crystal skin. He fought alongside Jake, learning human tactics. "Your people are incredible," Zethkar said during a brief break in the fighting. "You fight like demons, but you fight for others, not for yourselves." "That's what we do," Jake said. "We protect people who can't protect themselves. Even people you've never met, even people from other worlds." Jake reloaded his rifle, especially them. The tide of battle began to turn. The Ravagers were still dangerous, but they were confused. Their adaptation abilities were useless against the chaotic human tactics. Every time they thought they understood how humans fought, the humans would do something completely different. Lieutenant Tom Harris led a group of Kaleri in a flanking maneuver that saved an entire residential district. Chief Engineer Bill Murphy used his technical skills to turn Kaleri mining equipment into weapons. Amy Rodriguez coordinated communications between human and Kaleri forces, but the real breakthrough came when the human task force arrived. Jake was fighting in the central plaza when the sky lit up with explosions. He looked up to see 18 human warships dropping out of hyperspace. The cavalry had arrived. "This is Admiral Tucker to all ground forces," came the voice over the radio. "We're here to help clear the area for orbital bombardment." "Admiral," Jake replied, "we have friendlies mixed in with the enemies. We need precision strikes only." "Understood. We'll handle the bioships. You deal with the ground forces." The human fleet opened fire on the Ravager ships in orbit. The aliens had never seen weapons like the human railguns. The kinetic projectiles tore through their bioships like paper. Captain Nina Brooks commanded the frigate Defiant. She was the first to engage the enemy directly. Her ship's guns fired solid metal slugs at incredible speed. The Ravager bioships tried to adapt, but there was nothing to adapt to. It was just raw kinetic energy. "Target destroyed," Brooks reported. "These things can't handle basic physics." The space battle was over in minutes. The human fleet was designed for one thing: destroying other ships as efficiently as possible. The Ravagers had never faced anything like Earth's military technology. With their ships destroyed, the Ravagers on the ground were cut off. They fought harder, but it was hopeless. The humans had shown them something they had never seen before. A species that fought not just to survive, but to protect others. The battle for the Kaleri capital ended at sunset. The Crystal City was damaged, but still standing. The Ravagers were either dead or retreating. The humans had won their first battle against an alien species. Jake stood in the central plaza, surrounded by his crew and their new Kaleri allies. They had done it. They had answered the call for help and saved an entire world. "Commander Morrison," High Commander Zethkar said, "my people will never forget what you have done. You came from across the galaxy to help strangers. You risked everything for people you had never met." Jake looked at his crew. They were tired and dirty, but they were alive. They had represented humanity well. "That's what neighbors do," Jake said. "They help each other." Zethkar smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen a Kaleri smile. "Then we are neighbors now, and we will be proud to call the humans our friends." The first contact between humans and aliens had been made, and it had been made in the best possible way, with humans risking everything to help someone in need. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Sanctuary Prime. Commander Jake Morrison stood in the crystal gardens of the Kaleri capital city. The damage from the fighting was mostly repaired. The Kaleri were incredible builders. They could grow new crystal structures almost overnight. Jake was no longer just a ship commander. He had become Earth's first official ambassador to an alien species. It was not a job he had wanted, but it was important work. High Commander Zethkar walked up beside him. The old Kaleri warrior had become Jake's friend over the past months. They had fought together, and that created a bond that nothing could break. "The Galactic Council delegation arrives today," Zethkar said. "Are you ready to meet them?" Jake straightened his uniform. "As ready as I can be. What are they like?" "Very different from humans," Zethkar said. "They have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They believe in peace and order above all else. They will not understand your people at first." "Because we're violent?" Zethkar smiled. "Because you choose to be violent to protect others. Most species in the galaxy avoid conflict. When trouble comes, they hide or run away. You humans run toward trouble." Jake nodded. He had learned a lot about the galaxy in the past 3 months. There were hundreds of intelligent species. Most of them were peaceful traders or scientists. They had built a civilization based on avoiding conflict. Then the Ravagers had come. A species that lived only to consume and destroy. For 50 years they had been moving through the galaxy, eating entire worlds. The peaceful species had no way to stop them until the humans arrived. Admiral Ryan Tucker's task force was now permanently stationed in Kaleri space. The Ragnarok and its escort ships patrolled the border, making sure the Ravagers stayed away. Other human ships were exploring the galaxy, making contact with new species. The news was spreading fast. There was a new species in the galaxy. A species that fought back against the monsters. A species that would risk everything to help strangers. "Ambassador Morrison," a voice called behind him. Jake turned to see Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez approaching. She was still his communications officer, but now she also helped with diplomatic duties. "Amy, what's the situation?" "The Galactic Council ships just dropped out of hyperspace," she said. 5 vessels. They're requesting permission to land. Any weapons signatures?" Amy shook her head. "No weapons at all. These are pure diplomatic. Ships, no armor, no shields, no guns?" Jake found that hard to believe. "How do they defend themselves?" "They don't," Sethkar said. "The Council species have not fought wars in thousands of years. They solve all conflicts through negotiation." "What happens when negotiation doesn't work?" "Before you humans came, it always worked." The Ravagers were the first species that refused to talk. Jake and his party walked to the landing platform. The Council ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. They were smooth and white, shaped like enormous flowers. They landed silently without any engine noise. The first alien to emerge was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. It moved slowly and gracefully. Behind it came others, a short round being covered in fur. Something that looked like a walking tree. A creature made of what appeared to be living metal, the blue-skinned alien approached Jake. "I am Ambassador Krellin of the Galactic Council. You must be the human called Morrison." "That's right," Jake said. "Welcome to Sanctuary Prime." Krellin looked around at the Crystal City. "We have come to understand what happened here. The reports seem impossible to believe." "What reports?" "That a single human ship answered the Kaleri distress call. That your species came from nowhere to fight the Ravagers. That you defeated them in direct combat." Jake nodded. "That's all true." The furry alien stepped forward. "I am Council Member Thex. We must know. Why did you come? What do you want from the Kaleri?" "We don't want anything," Jake said. "They called for help. We helped them." "But you must want something," the tree-like alien said. "Payment, territory, resources. All species want something in exchange for military aid." Jake looked at Zethkar. The Kaleri commander was smiling. He had heard these questions before from other Council species. "We want them to be safe," Jake. "Sod, that's all." The metal alien made a sound like wind chimes. Jake's translator said it was probably laughter. "Impossible. No species acts without benefit to themselves." "Humans do," Jake said simply. Ambassador Krellin pulled out a device that projected holographic images. "We have reviewed the battle data. Your tactics were unusual." The hologram showed the space battle. Human ships ramming Ravager bioships. Marines boarding enemy vessels with nothing but rifles and grenades. The destruction of the Ravager command ship instead of trying to capture it. "Most species tried to disable enemy ships," Krellin said. "You simply destroyed them." "Most species avoid casualties. You seem to seek them out." "We ended the threat as quickly as possible," Jake said. "Sometimes that means taking risks." "Your ground tactics were even more strange," Council Member Thex said. "You fought without formation. You made decisions based on emotion rather than logic. You sacrificed tactical advantage to save civilians." "Yes," Jake said. "Is that wrong?" The Council members looked at each other. They seemed confused. "Not wrong," the tree-like alien said slowly. "Just unprecedented. No species fights that way." Admiral Tucker's voice came through Jake's communicator. "Ambassador Morrison, we have a situation. Long-range sensors are picking up a distress. Signal from the Vorthen system. It's under attack." Jake looked at the Council delegation. "Excuse me for a moment," he activated his communicator. "Admiral, what's the situation?" "The Vorthens are a peaceful mining species," Tucker said. "Something called the Iron Swarm is attacking their colonies. They're asking for help." Jake thought for a moment. The Vorthens were not part of the Galactic Council. They were an independent species that had never asked for help before, but they were in trouble. How long to reach their system? 6 hours at maximum speed, Tucker said. Jake turned back to the council delegation. I'm sorry, but we have to cut this meeting short. There's another species that needs help. Ambassador Krellin looked shocked. You cannot simply leave during official diplomatic negotiations. People are dying, Jake said. The negotiations can wait, but the proper procedures, Councilmember Thek said. There are protocols for responding to conflicts. The council must debate. We must form committees. We must study the situation. How long does that take? Jake asked. Usually 6 to 8 months, the metal alien said. Jake stared at them. In 6 months, the Vorthans will all be dead. That is unfortunate, Krellin said, but proper procedure must be followed. Jake started walking toward his shuttle. Come with us if you want to see how humans handle proper procedure. The council delegation had no choice but to follow. Their ships were not fast enough to keep up with human warships, but they could follow at a distance. 6 hours later, the human task force dropped out of hyperspace in the Vorthan system. What they found was familiar. Another peaceful species, under attack by aggressive aliens. Another civilization calling for help that no one was answering. Except the humans. The iron swarm ships were different from the Ravagers. They were made of metal instead of biomatter. But they were just as deadly. They had already destroyed 2 Vorthan colonies. All ships, Admiral Tucker announced, prepare for combat. We're going to save as many Vorthans as we can. The human fleet moved into battle formation. They had done this before. They knew what to do. The Iron Swarm had never fought humans either. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons. Their tactics were based on overwhelming firepower. They were not ready for human unpredictability and kinetic weapons. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the Iron Swarm was retreating and the remaining Vorthan colonies were safe. The council delegation arrived just as the fighting ended. They watched human Marines evacuating Vorthan civilians. They saw human medics treating alien wounded. They saw humans risking their lives for people they had never met before. Ambassador Krellin contacted the human flagship. This is ... remarkable. You saved an entire species in one day. It's what we do, Admiral Tucker replied. We wish to make an offer, Krellin said. The Council will grant humanity membership as a protected developing species. You will have our guidance as you learn galactic law and custom. Tucker was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. Protected? We're not here to be protected. We're here to do the protecting. I do not understand, Krellin said. The galaxy has been calling for help for 50 years, Tucker said. You've been having meetings about it. We've been answering the calls. Jake was listening to the conversation from his shuttle. He activated his communicator. Ambassador Krellin, I have a counter-proposal. Yes? Humanity wants to join the Galactic Council as a full member. Our job will be to respond to threats that the other species can't handle. We'll be the galaxy's protectors. The council delegation was quiet for a long time. Finally, Krellin spoke. This is unprecedented. The council has never had a military species as a member. Maybe it's time you did, Jake said. 3 months later, the vote was unanimous. Humanity became the first military member of the Galactic Council. Their job was simple. When someone in the galaxy called for help, the humans would answer. The Human Defense Initiative was officially formed. Admiral Tucker commanded a fleet of 60 ships.